The anime begins with a slime attempting to swallow what appears to be a very unusual object. At that moment, a boy shows up, and we learn that his name is Kaito Takagi, the main character of the story. Without hesitation, he pulls out a type of slime repellent and defeats the creature in an instant. As he picks up the crystal left behind, Kaito explains that he has spent at least 2 years entering the dungeon and hunting slimes on the first floor. Because of this, he believes that he is the weakest explorer among everyone who visits the place. After walking a bit further inside the dungeon, the boy suddenly spots a golden slime. Thinking that this will become the 1,000th monster he has ever defeated, he quickly sprays it with the repellent and manages to kill it. But when he checks his status afterward, he realizes that he did not receive any experience points from defeating the creature. Even so, he assumes that the magic crystal dropped by the slime might still be worth a decent amount of money if he sells it. A short moment later, the protagonist approaches the drop to collect it. However, he quickly notices that it is not a crystal at all. Instead, the monster has left behind a strange card featuring the image of a maiden. Kaito becomes immediately excited because once he inspects the card's information, he discovers that it is actually a servant card. He then notices that the servant's class is listed as a Valkyrie. Curious, he checks the database on his phone, but no information appears. That is when he recalls that in ancient mythology, Valkyries were believed to be a type of demigod. Shortly after, the main character arrives where a girl named Itsugaya is and gives her the crystals he had obtained. The girl tells him that they will pay him 100 yen, and he takes the opportunity to ask how much a servant card could be worth if someone were to find one. Itsugaya tells him that it would be rare for someone to find one, but if it happened, those cards could be worth up to 1 billion yen. This makes the young man spend the rest of the day thinking about whether he should sell it or not, since he would literally become a millionaire if he sold the card. After a while, the boy meets some friends and they ask him why he has not returned to the dungeon. Both of them tell him to remember the time they decided to go to the second level of the dungeon, where they ran into a goblin that they thought would be easy to defeat, but it ended up beating all 3 of them badly. We are also introduced to a blonde boy named Ayato, and another one named Shinji. Ayato says that it seems unbelievable that the protagonist has spent so many years on the first level and still does not get tired of killing slimes. After a long time, we see the main character arrive at his house, and after eating, he decides to take a bath. At that moment, the boy reflects and thinks that if he summons the maiden, she might be stronger and could help him explore other levels of the dungeon. But at the same time, he thinks that if he sells the card, he could buy the best equipment and weapons he wants. The next day, while the protagonist is heading to school, we see that he could not sleep well because he kept thinking about what to do. At that moment, a girl named Aruka comes out of her house and greets him. Soon, both of them decide to walk to school together, and we see that the girl likes being beside him, because when he stops for a moment, she waits for him as well. After walking for a while, Yato and Shinji appear. The hero quickly takes them somewhere else and asks them not to mention to the girl that he was in the dungeon. The boys greet Aruka, and at that moment she asks them what they did the previous day, but everyone becomes nervous and they end up mentioning different places they did not even visit. However, since the girl is a genius, she eventually figures out that he really did go to the dungeon. After some time, while the boys are in class, the protagonist asks them what they would do if they found a card. Yato, without thinking twice, says that he would sell it because it is easier to win the lottery than to find one of those cards. After a while, Kaito realizes that if he summons the maiden, he will no longer be able to sell the card. Once class ends, he heads back to the dungeon again, and we see that he manages to hide from some cameras that are in the place. The protagonist then looks at the card and thinks that he will become very strong so that he can clearly win Aruka's heart. So at that moment, he begins the ritual to summon the maiden, and after a kind of vortex forms, we see the silhouette of a goddess appear and wrap him with her hands. Then, in front of the protagonist, a small girl appears whom we know by the name of Silpy. The girl tells him that she has come because he summoned her, and the protagonist, very disappointed, thinks that he has just lost 1 billion yen, since he believes that because the girl is very small, she must be very weak. Kaito, with nothing much he can do, tells her that they should go hunt slimes, and the girl mentions that she can detect one nearby. This surprises the protagonist when he sees that the girl has tracking magic, so after heading to the place, he asks if she can defeat the slime, because he wants to see how strong she really is. Next, Sylphie goes toward the slime and launches a powerful divine ray at it. This makes Kaito surprised, and he thinks that the attack is 17 times stronger than the power he has. Suddenly, Sylphie tells him that she is very hungry, and the boy remembers reading that servants eat the magic crystals from monsters, so he immediately gives her the one he just obtained. Just before they move to another location, the young explorer thinks that he cannot keep using the girl because he will not gain anything if she eats the crystals, and he also cannot keep using his repellent because he will have to spend money as well. So he comes up with a great idea. We then see that he uses the girl to locate many slimes and defeat them with his repellent. This way, the girl will not have to launch attacks and become hungry, and he will be able to hunt many slimes. Soon, Kaito levels up, and the system grants him the title of Slime Slayer. However, the young man becomes disappointed when he reads that his stats increase by 50% when he fights them, since he still thinks that it is not very useful. Finally, the boy says that the dungeon day is over, and the girl looks a little worried and asks if he will summon her again. After hearing an affirmative answer from Kaito, she returns to the card. After a while, Kaito returns to Mitsugaya, and the girl is surprised to see that he brought so many slime crystals in a single day, so she congratulates him for breaking a record by killing so many slimes. The young explorer replies that he was just very lucky to find them. Later that night, while Kaito rests on his bed, we see that he cannot stop thinking about how powerful Sylphie is. Despite this, the boy thinks it might be a good idea to go down to the second level where the goblins are. Next, we are shown a small memory from when the young man was a child. He was together with Haruka since they have been best friends since childhood. Both of them were watching television because the girl's father was an explorer who had reached level 37 of the dungeon. This was the reason why Kaito, who is also a dungeon explorer, later decided to follow the same path. The next day we see Kaito wake up and think that it is time to advance to the second level. Later, the young explorer arrives at the dungeon, and together with the girl they find some stairs that lead down to the second level. In another scene, we see a television program where two adventurers enter the dungeon. However, as part of the TV show's drama, the man ends up injured by a monster and is about to die. So the girl kisses him, and the kiss contains a potion that helps him recover. Returning to Kaito, after going down the stairs to the second level, we see that the boy behaves like a complete coward because his body will not stop shaking, and the girl even tells him that he looks very pale. But Sylphie holds his hand, and this immediately calms him down. After walking for a while, the girl warns him that there is a goblin nearby, and Kaito starts running away. However, he suddenly remembers his friend's father and realizes that he needs to be much braver, so he gathers his courage and goes to defeat it. Soon they see the goblin resting. The young explorer asks the girl to defeat it, but he quickly changes his mind and says that he will handle the goblin himself, and if she sees him in danger, he asks her to intervene. At that moment, the battle begins, and we see that the boy is very bad at fighting. Just when the goblin is about to attack him, he sprays some of his repellent into its eyes, and to finish it off, he accidentally trips and stabs his sword into the goblin, defeating the monster in a very clumsy way. At that moment, Kaito levels up, and we see that he unlocks the Goblin Slayer's skill, which is given to people who manage to overcome the fear of dying, just like the young man just did. After spending a long time there, we see that they managed to defeat several goblins. Kaito knows that the girl does not understand much about the dungeon, because Sylphie mentions that she only knows that she must serve him, so the boy tells her that if that is the case, they will learn about the dungeon together. After some time passes, they defeat the last goblin of the day. Soon Kaito goes to Hitsuga, and the girl is completely impressed, because after many years the young explorer finally brought something new. Kaito only mentions that he tried his luck on the second level. The next day we see that the boy decides to spend his Sunday resting in bed all day, because after fighting the goblins the previous day he ended up completely exhausted. The following day, while Kaito is walking to school with Haruka, he still shows many body aches. The girl tells him that she knows it was because of the dungeon, but the young man replies that he was only training because he wants to strengthen his muscles. The girl thinks about it for a few seconds because she does not fully believe him. She also tells him that his physique does not match someone who is muscular. After a while the girls talk about the guys in the movie, we see Kaito telling his friends that he already defeated the second enemy of the dungeon. The boys are surprised, and the young explorer, a bit proud, says that he plans to go even deeper into the levels, because now he has much more motivation. A few hours later, we see that during the rest of the day the boy visits the dungeon and defeats several goblins. Over the next few days, the young adventurer obtains a tungsten staff and begins a daily routine of going to the dungeon after finishing classes, eventually reaching level 10. At that moment, Kaito realizes that he has received a skill called Divine Blessing, and he explains that the skill is given to adventurers who are loved by the gods or their descendants. Depending on how much the deity who grants the blessing favors them, their stats will increase considerably every time they level up. This makes the young man very happy, and he thinks that the skill was given to him by Silpy, so from that moment he begins to admire the girl. Slightly blushing, she tells him that she likes working with him and is happy that her master is cheerful. After a while, the two encounter a skeleton, something unusual. So Silphy uses her magic shield, while Kaito tries to defeat the monster using his staff. However, because the creature is very tough, the girl ends up hitting it with a divine ray. This causes the monster to drop a red crystal, which seems very different from the ones they have been obtaining, but since the girl is hungry after using several abilities, the boy gives it to her as food. After some time passes, Kaito returns to Itsugaya to ask about the crystal, and is completely shocked when he hears the price she mentions, since she says that if the crystal had a reddish color, it would be worth at least 2 million yen. Even so, the girl tells him that she feels sorry that he lost it, since it was a lot of money. Later that night, the young explorer regrets it for a moment, but he thinks that the girl clearly deserved it because she had defeated many monsters before that. Finally, he decides that it is time to go down to the 3rd level, although he will have to be careful because the monsters sometimes appear in groups. The next day, Kaito informs the girl that from now on he will fight alone. Silphy becomes a little sad because she thinks he no longer needs her, but the boy tells her the opposite. He only wants to learn how to defend himself, and not depend too much on her, so now that they will go to the 3rd floor, they must become much stronger. The young man also tells the girl that even though she is a servant, he sees her like a sister. This makes the girl very happy, and she realizes that her master is very considerate toward her. At that exact moment, the girl informs him that there is a goblin nearby, so Kaito says that he will handle it. After a long time, the young adventurer returns to Itsugaya, and we see that he was badly beaten, so he decided to come in order to buy potions. A few hours later, the boy regrets spending a lot of money on potions, because even low-level ones cost a lot, and since he also needs to buy equipment and feed the girl, he starts thinking of a new strategy. Soon we see that during the following days, Kaito returns to killing slimes in order to farm some money, and he decides to tell his friends about it. At that moment, Aruka arrives, and the young man becomes very nervous, because the simple presence of the girl makes him act like a complete coward around women. After several more days, Kaito realizes that he already has enough magic crystals to buy equipment and feed the girl. But suddenly Silpy tells him that there is something nearby, and the boy notices that there is a silver slime. The girl launches a divine ray, and we see that Kaito manages to obtain a second servant card. Because of the girl's dark appearance, the young explorer thinks that she might be a demon or something like that. Silphy looks a little worried, but Kaito thinks that he always wanted to summon both a goddess and a demon, so without thinking twice he performs the summoning. Soon, a demon girl appears in front of them, whom we know by the name of Lucilia, who will now become part of Kaito's team. The girl introduces herself as a demon of the Viscount class. The young man is completely disappointed because he thought she would be a completely beautiful woman, but she turns out to be a small girl, just like Silpy. Right away, Lucilia begins speaking in a somewhat rude way, and Silphy tells her that she should show more respect toward her master. But Lucilia clarifies that this is simply how demons like her speak, and she also tells them that she is not as bad as people usually think. Right after that, Lucilia asks Kaito for food, and we see her head toward a slime. Lucilia summons a kind of spear and strikes it with a magic attack from afar. The young man feeds her, but even after that she asks for more, so she calls him stingy when the boy refuses her request. Kaito tells her that the next time she fights, he would prefer her to use her other skill called Corrosive Breath. Soon they notice another monster nearby, and the girl decides to use that ability. She releases a kind of powder that begins dissolving the goblin as if it were acid, which makes the young explorer think that it is a very terrifying and unpleasant skill. After feeding her again, the girl excitedly asks Kaito to keep going deeper into the levels, because the crystals will taste better. However, the young man tells her to calm down because he still needs to buy equipment and will return tomorrow. After a few words from Silphy, the girl agrees to rest for the rest of the day. The next day they return to the dungeon and reach level 3. Kaito soon notices 2 monsters that look like fire dogs, so he decides to use his new weapon to defeat them, but it has no effect. Sylphie then uses a barrier, and Lucilia finishes them off. At that moment, the boy gives the girl a crystal, but when she asks for more after defeating the Kaneto, he refuses. The young explorer explains that he cannot keep giving her the same amount of crystals for every monster they defeat, because he would not earn any profit. Instead, he promises that she will receive food after a certain number of monsters are defeated. Soon after, they face some wyverns, and Lucilia launches a powerful attack, but one of the monsters survives. Kaito, after firing 2 shots with his weapon, manages to defeat it. After a while, the young adventurer begins leaving the dungeon and realizes that he did not earn much profit because Lucilia keeps asking for crystals. Just then, he hears a girl passing by, mentioning that thanks to her team they managed to reach level 6 of the dungeon. The next day, Kaito is in class with his classmates and begins thinking that he could form a team with his friends. However, they start talking about their studies and where they plan to go to continue them. At that moment, Aruka arrives and mentions that she would like to visit a certain academy, so the young man, wanting to please her, says that he was also planning to go to that academy. During the rest of the day, Kaito continues defeating several monsters together with the girls, but he notices that every time Lucilia kills a monster and the boy gives her crystals, she behaves in a strange way. It seems that Sylphie is starting to feel a little jealous. A few hours later, the young explorer returns home and realizes that his mother is watching the television series about the siblings they had seen earlier. While watching the show, Kaito notices that there is a rivalry in the story. Because of that, the boy begins imagining that Sylphie and Lucilia might soon start fighting if one of them asks to be his favorite. This thought makes the young man fall to the floor, completely worried about what might happen between the girls. The next day, while Kaito walks to school with Aruka, she notices that he did not sleep very well. So the boy tells her that it is because his friends recently became friends with some girls, and he is trying to get along with them, without telling her that they are actually his servants. A few hours later, Kaito goes to the dungeon with Sylphie and asks her to talk about Lucilia. Since he wanted to speak only with her, he did not summon the other servant. Sylphie says that at first Lucilia scared her, but now she realizes that she is actually a very funny girl. The young man reminds her that she is very special to him and asks her to tell him immediately if something happens, or if she feels anything negative. This makes the girl finally confess that she feels a little jealous because he treats Lucilia better. She only asks him to treat her the same way, because since Lucilia arrived, he has been giving her more crystals and speaking less with her. At that moment, Kaito realizes that the girls are indeed very jealous, so he tells her that from now on he will give the same number of cores to both of them. This makes the girl very happy. Soon after, the young explorer summons Lucilia and feeds both of them. After praising them, they enter a dungeon area where Sylphie defeats several monsters, and they level up. At that moment, Kaito and Lucilia congratulate her, and they quickly move toward the monsters to test her new level. Next, the girl launches a divine ray and manages to defeat 3 monsters at the same time. Since there was another one, she uses her shield and they realize that it is now much more resistant. After defeating the monsters, we see Sylphie eating several crystals, but even after that she acts like a glutton and asks for more. This leaves Kaito very disappointed, and when he goes to Itsugaya he only gives her 2 crystals. The girl mentions that lately he has been bringing very few. Because of this, the next day Kaito returns to his old method of using monster repellent, and that day he manages to defeat more than 20 slimes. Lucilia does not seem very happy because she was not allowed to do anything during that time, and wants to kill monsters so she can be fed. However, the boy explains that if he lets them attack, he would have to give them crystals and they would not make any profit. Unlike Lucilia, Sylphie seems happy even without fighting because she simply wants to stay beside Kaito and support him. This makes Lucilia reflect, and she tells the young man that from now on she will start supporting him while he fights. A few hours later, we see Kaito searching on his computer for new equipment. Earlier, he had visited Itsugaya, who asked him why he had not tried the 4th level of the dungeon. But after seeing the prices on his computer, the boy is shocked and realizes that he needs a lot of money. The next day, Kaito notices a special slime, so he asks the girls to defeat it immediately because he thinks it might drop another card. However, after defeating it, the monster drops a kind of magic orb. The young explorer happily believes that he will finally become the mage he always wanted to be. So he throws it onto the ground to activate it, and we see that he absorbs the magic and realizes that both of them now possess water magic. Next, Kaito approaches one of the water dogs, and the young explorer thinks that if he cannot defeat it, he will leave it to the girls. The boy launches a water ball, but it has no effect on the monster, so Lucilia ends up eliminating it. Kaito feels that it was a failure and thinks he should have sold the magic orb instead. A few hours later, the young man is in a children's park when Iruka suddenly arrives. He becomes nervous, and soon they begin walking toward their homes. Just before the girl enters her house, Kaito mentions that he can solve the problem about the friends he invented the other day. After saying goodbye to him, the girl remains very thoughtful and even feels jealous of the other girls. Kaito also notices that she seemed a little upset and wonders if she was jealous, just like Sylphie acted before, but he ends up thinking that it probably is not that. Over the next few days, the boy begins training his water magic. However, after performing several attacks, he collapses to the ground because he runs out of mana. The young adventurer returns home to sleep and thinks that he wants to become like Iruka's father, the captain. The next day, Kaito decides to return to the dungeon and realizes that he can control the shapes he creates with his water magic. However, as expected, he eventually faints. At the end of the day, we see Kaito leaving the dungeon when he suddenly trips and falls into the arms of a girl. Soon we meet them by the names of Ari, Miku, and Kari. At that moment, Airi tells him to be careful, and the boy quickly leaves, but the girl watches him go and feels that there is something interesting about him. She mentions that they always see him leaving the dungeon and thinks she should work hard just like him. The next day, Kaito falls asleep during class, and his teacher scolds him. Iruka notices this and begins to worry because she knows something is happening to him. After thinking for a while, his friends ask if he has been training, and the young man replies that he has, since he now has a skill. At that moment, they are interrupted when Iruka arrives. She asks if he is tired from visiting the dungeons, but Kaito lies and says that he has not gone, claiming instead that he has been practicing dances. The girl believes him and tells him not to overwork himself with rehearsals. After a while, Kaito goes to the dungeon, and we see him using his water ability to defeat a goblin. The girls congratulate him, but the young explorer realizes that he has not been leveling up. He understands that it is because the monsters on the 3rd level no longer give him experience. So he tells the girls that they will go to the 4th level. As he thinks about it, the boy imagines that if he keeps saving money, he will be able to buy a suit he saw on the internet. After several days, we see that he finally acquires it. Lucilia tells him that the suit is useless, but Kaito explains that it can even block enemy arrows. He also mentions that he bought a magic bracelet that helps him have better accuracy with casting spells, along with some potions. After a while, the group heads toward an unexplored area on level 5. Sylphie detects the presence of something strong and begins to feel very scared, but she soon heads toward the location together with Lucilia. However, when they see that it is a giant cockroach, the girls immediately launch all their abilities. Kaito arrives beside them, and Sylphie hugs him out of fear of the insect. The girl even apologizes to him because as a servant she should not separate from him. The young man tells her that it is not a problem because they had helped him obtain many magic crystals of a black color. After giving them several to eat, the girl detects the presence of 2 muddy monsters. Since physical attacks did not work on them, Lucilia ends up eliminating them. However, Kaito realizes that he would have to rely on both girls, but they refuse because they do not want to eat the black crystals due to their bad taste, so they decide that they will come back later. The next day, we see them return to the place, and suddenly Sylphie tells Kaito that she senses unusual mana in the wall. At first, the young explorer looks at it and thinks everything seems normal, but the girl fires a divine ray and creates a hole in the wall, revealing a secret passage in front of them. After entering the place, we see Lucilia step on 2 traps. The first one shoots an arrow at Kaito, but he is saved by his suit, and the second trap releases an electric shock that hits him as well. At that moment, Lucilia becomes worried about the boy, and when he notices this, the girl blushes and tells him not to worry at all. After reaching a gigantic door, Sylphie says that she senses the presence of something strong. As usual, Kaito, acting like a coward, suggests that they should leave, but the girls clearly refuse because they want to fight the monster behind the door. After breaking the door, they see an ogre-like creature accompanied by a giant slime waiting for them. Kaito orders the girls to attack, but their combined attack has no effect. This makes the ogre furious, and it charges toward them, but Sylphie manages to raise a barrier just in time. At that moment, the young man realizes that if magic attacks do not work, they will have to use weapons. We then see that his shots do cause damage, but because the boy was too stingy to buy many arrows, he soon runs out. So using his magic bracelet, Kaito turns water into ice crystals and begins firing them at the monster. Eventually, he forms a large one and finally defeats the ogre. Right after that, the young adventurer rushes to help Lucilia, who is fighting the slime. Kaito distracts it while Sylphie activates her sacred spear, and with a single strike she pierces the monster from one side to the other. However, the boy notices that it did not lose as much health as he expected. For a moment he thinks about retreating, but then he remembers how heroic the captain he once met was. So Kaito, gathering his courage, takes out his slime repellents and begins attacking. Sylphie also creates a barrier to protect him, and together they finally manage to defeat the creature. At that moment, the girls hug Kaito in excitement, but he becomes very nervous. We can also see that Lucilia has reached level 2. Afterward, the young explorer goes to collect the crystals and notices that one of them is red. He also obtains a kind of magic sword. Soon Kaito goes to Itsuga, and the girl is surprised because the crystal is very valuable. She asks where he obtained it, and the boy explains that he found it in a secret tunnel on the 5th level of the dungeon. Because of that, the girl says she will send several researchers to investigate the place. She also tells him that he should participate in an event between teams. In that event, groups must explore the 7th level of the dungeon. Kaito thinks it sounds like a great idea and becomes excited after hearing everything he could do there, so he accepts the proposal. The next day, Kaito tells his friends everything he has done, and they are very impressed. Just when the young man mentions that it will be his first time working in a group, Aruka arrives. She asks if they are talking about a dance group, and his friends quickly say yes, claiming that Kaito wants to dance in a group. This distracts the girl, and before leaving she says that she hopes to see him dance someday. A few hours later, Kaito arrives at the event and notices that there are many people there. At that moment, someone asks if he already has a group, and we see that it is the same girls he met earlier. In another scene, we see a small memory of Aruka. She was just a little girl saying goodbye to her father, who was leaving to explore the dungeon. Soon after, she wakes up, eats breakfast, says goodbye to her parents, and leaves for school. While walking, the girl begins thinking about Kaito and wonders what he might be doing. Meanwhile, Kaito is teleporting with the girls to level 6 of the dungeon. He explains that once adventurers reach level 6, they can teleport there directly from the first level. The group is guided by some experienced adventurers, and they think that before going down to level 7 they should buy some items at the shop. After making a few purchases, the girls notice that Kaito seems to be carrying many things in his bag. They explain that they have magic bags that can store many objects in a small space. Since they mention that their families bought them those bags, Kaito realizes that all of them probably come from rich families. After a long conversation, the group goes down to level 7 and encounters a group of guards. The guards wish them good luck, and Kari explains that they are keeping the dungeon clean for the event. While they are talking, they are suddenly interrupted when a stone golem begins forming in front of them. Eri tells them to stay back, and after exchanging several blows with her spear, she manages to defeat the golem. However, as expected, another golem appears in front of them, this time made of bronze and much stronger than the first one. At that moment, we see that Kari is a mage who traps the monster with an earth-based ability. Miku then summons a servant card, which turns out to be a small fox, and together they launch a combined attack that finally defeats the monster. At that moment, Kaito is amazed by the girls' power, but they are interrupted for a third time when an iron golem appears in front of them. The monster immediately attacks, but Airi manages to defend her friends. She also tries to defeat it, but the young explorer notices that even she cannot destroy it. The other two girls try attacking as well, yet none of their attacks have any effect. This makes Kaito think about summoning Lucilia and Sylphie, but just then he drops his sword and remembers something he had researched about it. He recalls that the weapon can inflict any kind of damage that the person wielding it imagines. So the boy decides to eliminate the golem and asks the girls to distract it. Taking the opportunity, Kaito rushes forward and stabs it with the blade, defeating the golem instantly. The girls are astonished by Kaito's power, not realizing what the sword actually does. A few hours later, the group is at a fair, and after examining the sword carefully, the young man realizes that it is truly very powerful. During their conversation, Miko reveals that only they can see her servant pet, because the cameras in the dungeon apparently cannot capture servants. Kaito now understands why nobody had asked him about Sylphie and Lucilia. After a long talk, the girls say that they would like to keep forming a team with him, because, after the battle, they all feel safe with him. The young explorer remembers when Sylphie and Lucilia hugged him, after the girls ask if he is already in a group. He tells them that he is in one with a goddess and a demon, since he knows that if people see him with two small girls like Lucilia and Sylphie, it might attract the attention of the police. Kaito finally tells them that he needs some time to answer, because he must ask the girls something first. The next day, Kaito returns to the dungeon, but Sylphie and Lucilia seem upset with him because he mentioned that he is thinking about joining a group with the other girls. Both of them, clearly offended, say that they prefer their team to remain only 3 members. Lucilia even becomes a little jealous of Sylphie because Kaito has a nickname for her, so after a long discussion he gives Lucilia a nickname as well. Eventually, the girls begin walking away, and because they ignored his explanation about the group, the young man feels sad. The following day, we see Kaito walking to school with Aruka when she unexpectedly invites him on a date. The boy becomes nervous but eventually accepts. Soon after, Aruka leaves with her friend, and Kaito's friends arrive to tease him. He tells them that they are only going shopping, but since the boys know he is too clueless to realize that the girl likes him, they change the subject and ask how things went in the dungeon. Kaito replies that he was there with 3 girls. Hearing this, his friends begin thinking that it might be a good idea to return to exploring the dungeon as well. After several days, the day of the date finally arrives, and the two head to a shopping mall. Aruka seems very happy to be with Kaito, and asks how long they have known each other. This makes the young man think for a moment before replying that they have known each other since childhood, when her father used to take them around. They continue talking about different things, and it seems that both of them are attracted to each other. For a long time, Aruka tries on several clothes and finally buys the one Kaito liked the most. When they arrive at the park, the boy begins to feel something for her, because he thinks she is very beautiful. They get into small boats to row on a lake, and Kaito starts thinking that they actually look like a couple on a date. For a moment he lets his imagination run wild, but quickly snaps back to reality and tells himself that the girl would never go on a real date with him. Unexpectedly, Aruka hints that Kaito looks much more handsome now because of his training. However, not understanding the hint, the boy says that it is because of dance practice and training. In the end, she says that they should go out like this once in a while. Later, we see them sharing drinks together, and the girl blushes a lot. After a few hours, Aruka notices a woman with her baby, and suddenly begins to feel a little sad. She asks Kaito to go somewhere else. They stop in front of a building, and Kaito mentions that the dungeon where her father is exploring is right there. At that moment, Aruka becomes very sad because she has not seen her father for a long time. She says that she misses him and cannot understand why people risk their lives in the dungeon. In the end, she decides that it is better to leave. Kaito knows that even though she worries about him, he still wants to become a hero like her father. After several days, Kaito manages to create a new technique. He infuses his sword with water magic, allowing him to deliver a much stronger slash. We then see the young explorer test the weapon, defeating a monster with a single strike. The girls are happy to see that Kaito has improved a lot, and Lucilia teasingly says that it looks like he became strong because of a girl. Kaito becomes very nervous, and Sylphie asks if she is one of the girls he mentioned from the group. After telling them that a group of 3 girls invited him to join their team, Lucilia starts acting like a very toxic girl, and begins threatening Kaito, saying she might kill him. Frightened, the young man quickly says that he will not join them and will keep giving them magic crystals. However, Sylphie tells him that he can join the group because she will support all his decisions, but she wants to know why he wants to join them if he already has the 2 of them. Kaito explains that he wants to strengthen his abilities because both of them are very strong, stronger than he is, so he wants to gain power to stand on the same level as them. He also tells them that he will only go with those girls on weekends. At the same time, the boy promises that he will keep giving them crystals so they stay happy, and this makes both girls accept what he says. Later that night, Kaito receives an unexpected call from Aruka. The girl says that she only wanted to see how he was doing. The young man asks her if she knows any technique to control nervousness, lying by saying that his friends need it to talk with some girls. She immediately explains while we see a memory from when she was a child. She was about to play the piano on stage, and because she was very nervous, Her father told her that smiling always helps calm nerves. That was the technique that helped her overcome the moment. Kaito thanks her for the advice, and both of them wish each other good night. Even so, the boy wonders why she called him so late at night. In another scene, while one of the girls is training at a temple, she receives a call from Kaito. He tells her that he has decided to join their team, but he will only be available on weekends. The girl accepts his conditions because they also have school and only explore the dungeon on weekends. Both of them are happy about the good news. Several days later, Saturday finally arrives, and the group faces some golems again. Kaito begins giving instructions, and after several attacks, they manage to defeat all the golems in the area. The girls ask how he used his magic if he never attacked the monsters directly with it. Kaito explains that he infused a little of his magic into his sword, and believes it is a very clever technique. The girls even think that the young adventurer has great talent as a leader and wonder how he usually manages to explore the dungeon alone. Kaito changes the subject and tells one of them that she is very skilled with her weapon. After a long conversation, the boy suggests that they should eat. At the end of the day, Kaito is resting on his bed and thinking that the girls brought some very delicious food. However, he is also a little nervous because Airi told him that the next day they would go to the 8th level of the dungeon. The next day, Kaito heads to the dungeon with the girls toward level 8. He brings a life vest, which confuses them. Kaito explains that he researched the area and discovered that level 8 has water monsters and flooded sections, so he preferred to come prepared. He also adds that the vest can help resist magical attacks. After some time, they finally reach level 8, and a creature that looks like an axolotl spits acid at Kaito. The young man becomes very sad because his vest is damaged. However, Miku uses Kaito's crossbow and defeats the monster with a single shot. For a long time afterward, the group keeps fighting many aquatic monsters. They are suddenly attacked by many fish, and Kaito summons an ice sword. After defeating several monsters, his magic power begins to drop, and he eventually collapses from exhaustion. A little later, Kaito wakes up resting on Airi's lap and becomes extremely nervous. The girls explain that they used a mana potion so he could recover. After a short conversation, Miku's beast senses that something dangerous is approaching. Suddenly, a gigantic monster appears in front of them and begins chasing them. Because the creature can move across the ground, it causes a tremor that seals the exit, leaving them with no choice but to prepare for battle. Kaito gives the girls instructions for attacking, but their entire plan fails. Airi tries attacking the monster as well, but it throws her far away. Everyone becomes very worried because they cannot defeat the creature. At that moment, Kaito realizes that they must summon his companions or they will all die. Just when the monster is about to attack Miku and Ikari, Kaito summons Sylphie and Lucilia. He immediately apologizes to them for calling them and asks them to defeat the monster. The two girls launch a combined attack and destroy the creature with a single strike. Sylphie looks very worried about her master, while Lucilia, acting arrogantly, tells him that she knew he could not do anything without them. Miku, seeing how adorable Sylphie is, hugs her because she thinks she is very cute and sweet. Meanwhile, Ikari looks at Lucilia and admires her demon fur, asking if she can touch it. Because she makes a cute face, Lucilia finally agrees. Ikari quickly says that she has now become friends with Lucilia and Sylphie, and that they will be able to bathe together. She also mentions that she did not know Kaito had two such young servant companions. After a while, we see the girls bathing together, thanking Kaito because they would have died if he had not summoned them. Later, the girls leave, and Kaito stays behind to talk with Airi, because when she was struck by the monster earlier, she mentioned that she was a hero. The boy asks her why she mentioned that earlier, and Airi replies that since she was a child, she always wanted to become a hero. This is because her father raised her to be strong so she could protect the people she cares about. Because of that, Airi explains that she became a dungeon explorer. She also mentions that she is 2 years older than Kaito, since she is studying at the A Academy, and she invites him to an open campus event that the university will be holding. The next day, Kaito tells his friends about the invitation Airi gave him, and both of them agree that he should bring Aruka, since they already went on a date before, and both of them want to go to that academy. Soon Aruka arrives accompanied by another girl, and Kaito's friends help him by saying that he wants to ask her something. Immediately, Kaito becomes very nervous, but he tells her that the academy will have an open campus event, and that he would like her to go with him. The girl becomes excited and says it is very sweet that he remembered they both wanted to go to that university, so she agrees to go with him. Kaito's friends take the chance to invite Aruka's friend as well, but she rejects them, leaving them feeling like defeated soldiers as they walk away. After several days, the day of the open campus finally arrives. Kaito is waiting for his friend, and when he sees her, he cannot believe how beautiful she looks wearing the dress she bought the other day. Soon they prepare to head to the academy. They ride the subway, and Kaito is so nervous that he sits a little far from her. While they talk, the young man imagines that they are on another date, but he quickly comes back to reality and reminds himself that they are only going to the university. Aruka, slightly blushing, says she is happy that he came with her. Just then, Yato and Shinji appear in front of them. The two boys say that they also want to attend the open campus event and promise that they will not bother them. After several hours of traveling, they finally arrive at the academy and are amazed by how elegant it looks, since it literally resembles a castle. While walking around the place, they notice some cherry blossom trees that have not bloomed yet. Seeing them makes Kaito remember when they were children running together under cherry blossom. However, because the boy begins acting a bit strange, Aruka interrupts his thoughts. This makes Kaito return to reality and think that it will still take a long time before anything happens between them. After reaching the reception area of the event, Kaito blushes when he sees Ari. They introduce themselves to her, and she asks if Aruka is his girlfriend. Both of them become very nervous and answer that they are childhood friends. Ari tells them they can explore the university first, and that she will give them a tour later. At that moment, the group leaves, and for some reason Ari feels relieved when she learns that Aruka is not his girlfriend. After entering the campus, Yato asks Kaito where he met Ari, but Shinji accidentally reveals that they met in the dungeon. This instantly makes Aruka become very angry in an intimidating way. However, after a moment she thinks that if it were not for Ari, she would not even be there, so she calms down again. Kaito feels relieved by this, and his friends take him aside to ask him something. They ask if he formed a team with Eri, and Kaito says yes. The boys become extremely jealous, and even say they feel like returning to explore the dungeon themselves. Finally, they warn him to be careful with what he says, because Aruka worries a lot about him, so they should not talk about the dungeon in front of her. After spending a long time visiting different parts of the academy, the group goes to a green area to rest. Kaito mentions that it might be difficult for him to enter the university, but he will work hard because he truly wants to be in the same class as Aruka. One of the boys mentions that the university is very expensive and asks if his parents will pay for it. At that moment, Kaito almost says that he will pay for it by exploring the dungeon, but quickly corrects himself and says he will explore the job market to find work. However, the young man imagines relaxing with Aruka alone during their free time. However, they are interrupted when Miku and Ikari arrive. The girls tell them that Ari mentioned that Kaito came with some friends. After introducing themselves, the girls also ask Aruka if she is Kaito's girlfriend, but she makes it clear that they are only childhood friends. Aruka, seeing that they seem to get along well, asks where they know each other from. Kaito begins thinking that he must find an excuse, but the girl quickly says that she formed a team with him in the dungeon. This immediately makes Aruka very angry. At that moment, Airi arrives and saves Kaito from a very bad situation, inviting everyone to go to the cafeteria. Later, the group is surprised by the delicious dishes served there. Eri also tells them that the food is not only elegant but also very cheap. After a while, Aruka asks Kaito to accompany her to get more drinks, and the young man agrees. While they are away, the others start talking about a professor they know. Miku asks if they are also dungeon explorers. Yato says that he has a license to explore, but they do not actually do it. The girls find this strange because they have never met anyone with a license who does not explore. Eri also explains that some equipment and items stop working if people move more than 3 kilometers away from the dungeon park entrance. They also mention that there are many strict rules in those places. Shinji says that once he was stopped for taking a weapon out of the area, at that moment Kaito and Aruka return and hear them talking about the dungeon. Aruka, looking confused, asks why everyone wants to go to those places. Kaito then takes her somewhere else and checks his phone to see the activities they can do there. A little later, the group arrives at the university pool. Kaito tells a story about how Aruka saved him when they were children, since he almost drowned and was also once saved from a dog by her. Suddenly, Ikari, noticing how close the two of them are, quietly tells Miku that she is feeling a strange sensation in her chest. It seems that the girl has started to like Kaito and is beginning to feel jealous. Later, the group walks down some stairs toward the training fields. Just then, Ikari slips, but Kaito quickly catches her and saves her in time. Everyone is amazed by his quick reaction. Soon after, some soccer players accidentally kick a ball toward Miku, and just before it hits her face, Kaito jumps in and saves her. He performs a bicycle kick just like Cristiano Ronaldo, leaving everyone shocked by his agility. Next, Ari invites them to the university dojo. The group is fascinated by the movements she demonstrates there. Eri cannot stop thinking about Kaito, and she blushes when she notices that he appreciates her talent. Meanwhile, Aruka seems a little unhappy after seeing how he interacts with the other girls. At the end of the day, everyone exchanges phone numbers, and Ari tells them that they can call her if they have any questions. The girls then say goodbye to Kaito's group and mention that they will see them the next day in the dungeon. After a long while, the group rides the subway back home. Ayato and Shinji cannot stop thinking about Miku and Kari. They even say they will become explorers again so they can meet girls as pretty as them. Since they keep talking about the dungeon, Aruka tells them that they can do whatever they want. A few hours later, Kaito and Aruka are close to their homes when the girl suddenly asks which of the three girls is his type. Kaito becomes very nervous and says that he has not really thought about it, but that the type of girl he likes might actually be someone else. Aruka, feeling a bit jealous, begins complaining that she saw him getting very close to all the girls today. Kaito tries to explain, but the girl quickly says goodbye and rushes into her house. Kaito is left completely confused because he has no idea what just happened. It becomes clear that he is very clueless and cannot understand Aruka's hints. Later that night, while Kaito is taking a shower, he finally begins thinking about what happened. For a moment, he wonders if she was jealous, but he quickly dismisses the idea because he cannot believe that she might actually like him. In the end, Kaito realizes that he needs to think of an excuse for Lucilia and Sylphie, since they were probably waiting for him all day. The next day, Kaito is fighting some monsters when the girls complain about why he abandoned them. Kaito tries to explain that he was visiting an academy, but since the girls refuse to calm down, he promises to give each of them 3 crystals. However, Kaito suddenly becomes nervous when he notices a very strange slime that shines with different colors. The girls are not paying attention and strike the slime anyway. Seeing this, Kaito quickly promises to give them 10 crystals each, which immediately calms them down, and they tell him not to abandon them again. Right after that, Kaito picks up the item dropped by the slime and realizes that they are some very strange gloves. They give him the ability to obtain an invisible power in exchange for magic points. The young explorer quickly goes to his companions to test them and realizes that they work in a very interesting way. Soon after, Ari mentions that she had a great time the day before. Hearing this makes Lucilia and Sylphie feel a little annoyed. Airi then says that she would like to teach Kaito everything she knows and suggests that they study together. Kaito asks if Aruka could come as well. The girls have no problem with that because they will also be studying for the academy entrance exam. Lucilia and Sylphie become jealous, and Kaito has to calm them down by giving them crystals to eat. Seeing this, Miku and Kari think the 2 girls look very adorable. Soon, the group moves forward and reaches level 9. Sylphie warns them that she senses a powerful presence ahead. When they arrive, they discover a gigantic 2-headed dog with a snake tail. Lucilia immediately recognizes the monster and calls it Orthros, wondering why it is on the 9th floor. Kaito also thinks that it should not be on that level. Just when the boy considers escaping, the monster detects them and launches flames at the group. Fortunately, Sylphie manages to create a shield in time. She counterattacks, but her attack has no effect on the creature. Because of that, Kaito creates a distraction and tells his companions to attack with everything they have. The entire group launches a series of combined attacks until they finally manage to defeat the monster. Everyone is extremely happy because they cannot believe they managed to defeat Orthros, since it is one of the strongest monsters they could encounter. At that moment, Kari suggests that they should rest, and Kaito rewards his companions with crystals. Suddenly, Sylphie tells Kaito that she senses a very imposing presence nearby. Just then, they hear someone's voice saying that they managed to defeat the monster, but it was only his pet. A demon soon appears, and Lucilia explains that he is the same kind as her and seems very powerful. The demon tells them that they must fight because if they try to run away, he will kill them. He also mentions that he was the one responsible for letting Lucilia go before, but now he regrets that decision. The demon launches dark magic, but Sylphie manages to raise her barrier in time. The enemy then charges forward with a sword strike that nearly breaks through the barrier. Kaito warns that they must do something because the barrier will not survive a second hit. Airi encourages the group and says that even though the enemy is strong, they can survive another attack. They quickly come up with a plan. The demon rushes toward Kaito with his sword, but the young man manages to block the strike. This enrages the demon, who throws Airi against the wall. Using his sword's ability, Kaito imagines destroying the enemy's weapon, and the blade breaks. This makes the demon even angrier because the sword had been a gift from a duke. The demon punches Kaito, but he quickly drinks a potion and asks Miku to create a distraction. While the demon is distracted, Kaito sneaks behind him and stabs him with his sword, hoping it will explode with damage. Although it deals heavy damage, the demon strikes back and regenerates himself. Since the demon is determined to kill Kaito, the girls beg him to run away while they try to defend him. Kaito begins to panic, and during the chaos he falls on top of Lucilia. Realizing he cannot escape, the young explorer quickly checks the demon's stats. He discovers a skill called Gluttony, which allows someone to absorb another person's magical power to temporarily increase their stats. Kaito immediately asks Lucilia to use the skill on him so she can defeat the demon. Lucilia activates the ability, and unexpectedly she transforms into a much older and very beautiful form. She explains that she has regained part of her true power and that defeating the demon will now be easy. The demon attacks her, but his strike does not even leave a scratch. Lucilia then says that a low-class demon like him could never harm a Viscount like her. Immediately afterward, she uses a Godslayer skill and defeats the demon with a single attack. After the battle, Lucilia begins teasing Kaito, asking if he likes her adult form now. However, because she is absorbing his power, Kaito feels extremely weak. Before her ability fades, Lucilia tells him that from now on she wants him to see her differently and treat her much better. Lying on the ground, Kaito agrees. Soon after, Lucilia returns to her normal form. After a while, Kaito checks his stats and realizes that he is leveled up. He also gains a new ability that allows him to better withstand the gluttony skill. Hearing this, Lucilia jokes that next time she will be able to stay in her adult form for a longer time. In the end, everyone is happy that they managed to survive the battle. Next, Kaito goes to collect the loot and finds a very large crystal. The monster also dropped its own card, meaning that he can summon it. Eri tells him that he can keep the card because after all, he and Lucilia were the ones who defeated the monster. At that moment, Kaito begins thinking about what they should do, since he already has one servant, and summoning another for only a few seconds would not make much sense. Lucilia suggests that they should sell the card instead, but because Kaito wants to do the opposite, he ends up summoning it anyway. Suddenly, a small boy appears in front of him and tells Kaito that he will now serve him faithfully. Kaito, somewhat coldly, says that it would have been better to sell the card because the boy is so small. After a while, we see Kaito taking a shower when the boy, named Belia, arrives and asks if he can wash his back. As he starts doing so, Kaito realizes that if someone sees them, it could be misunderstood. When the boy asks if he will abandon him, Kaito has no choice but to say that he will not. Meanwhile, the girls outside the bathroom think that the two of them have become friends. A few hours later, the group visits Itsugaya and shows her the crystal they obtained. The girl is surprised when she hears that they got it after defeating an Orthros of a very high level, so she says she will send an investigation team to analyze the area. She also tells them that she will pay 24 million yen for the crystal. Kaito is shocked by the amount, and the girl asks if she should deposit the money to him. However, Kaito refuses and asks her to divide it among the four of them. The girls say they do not really care about the money and that he can keep it instead. In the end, Kaito accepts, and Itsugaya tells him that she will give him the tax forms he needs to fill out. Later, while the group is eating, Ari offers to help Kaito with the paperwork since he does not know anything about taxes. At the end of the day, they say goodbye, and Ikari comments that whenever they go somewhere with Kaito, unusual things always happen. Several days later, we see Miku and Kari talking through a video call. Both girls say they will meet again during the weekend. However, after the call ends, we can see that Ikari looks very sick and begins coughing heavily. A few days later, the whole group is back in the dungeon. Belia asks Kaito for a weapon because Kaito wants to test the abilities he has. Since Kaito has a tungsten staff that he crafted earlier, he lends it to him. At first, the boy feels uncomfortable, but it turns out that he has excellent combat skills and easily defeats 2 goblins. Lucilia then explains that his combat level dropped to level 1 because his body became smaller. Hearing this, Belia begs Kaito to allow him to stay with the group and respectfully calls Lucilia and Sylphie Miss. Both girls are impressed by how gentlemanly he is. Kaito feels touched and finally accepts him as a new member of the team. Later, Kaito exhausts all his mana and asks Belia to use a dark magic healing skill on him. However, Kaito notices that it barely restores any of his health. Belia explains that the skill only works when the target is close to death. This makes Kaito think that if the ability were used while Lucilia activates her gluttony skill on him, they could potentially create an infinite loop using the 2 abilities together. Hearing this idea makes Lucilia extremely excited because she wants to transform into her adult form again. Belia interrupts and tells Kaito to allow him to heal the wound he has. After doing so, Kaito feels the pain disappear completely, and realizes that Belia could be very useful, since he could heal everyone during battles and save them a lot of money on potions. Soon the girls decide it is time to test their new abilities. They approach a bronze golem, and after a combined attack by Ikari and Ari, they defeat it easily. On the other hand, Miku and her beast attack 3 stone golems and defeat them without much effort. Kaito is impressed by the teamwork between Miku and her creature. Finally, Kaito tells his companions that it is now time for them to show their new abilities as well. Soon after, several monsters appear, and Sylphie begins to sing. A gigantic angelic specter forms above everyone, and in that moment, Kaito and his companions feel their power increase. Because of the boost, Belia and Lucilia greatly increase their strength and defeat the monsters with a single strike. However, Belia says that he did not feel any change in his own strength. The girls think that it might be related to the bond he has with the rest of the team. Eri encourages him and tells him that he should start building friendships with Sylphie and the others. Even Lucilia wishes him luck in becoming friends with everyone. The boy thanks them for their support and confesses that he used to serve in the army's rear guard, but he has recently been promoted to a knight. He promises that he will improve, and he thinks that using a sword might help him strengthen his attacks. At that moment, Kaito suddenly runs off and returns quickly with a sword in his hands. The boy stays silent for a few seconds, making Kaito think that he did not like the gift. But suddenly, Belia begins to cry with happiness, saying that he feels honored to receive such a wonderful gift from his master. It becomes clear that the boy truly has the loyalty of a knight. After receiving the sword, he promises that he will use it to defend Kaito until the day he can no longer fight. He then demonstrates his skill and easily defeats several monsters, surprising everyone with his impressive swordsmanship. Because of his talent with the sword, Kaito tells him that he can help train him. Eri says that they can practice together on Sunday, but she also reminds everyone that they must return early because they need to study. Hearing this makes Lucilia and Sylphie feel a little jealous. A few hours later, the group arrives at Eri's house, where they are greeted by a gigantic gate. The girls ride in a small cart while the boys have to walk quite a long distance. When they finally arrive, the group is amazed by how large and beautiful the house is. Ari explains that for generations her family has run a dojo, and the estate has plenty of space for training. Soon the boys arrive as well, looking exhausted from the long walk. They all enter the house, and some of the boys jokingly make playful comments, though Ari does not understand the hidden meaning. Everyone then sits down, and the boys compete to sit next to the girls. Since Kaito is the last to sit down, he ends up next to Ari, which makes Aruka feel jealous again. At that moment, Kari asks Kaito if he could help her study a certain subject, but he replies that Aruka could help her instead. This makes the boys start teasing Kaito about Aruka again. To stop the teasing, Ari suggests that they go to the waterfall nearby. When they arrive, they realize that the water is freezing cold. The girls bravely go in first and endure it like champions. Kaito notices Aruka and thinks that she looks incredibly beautiful. Soon the boys follow, but they struggle to stay calm and nearly freeze from the cold water. After a few hours, the boys joke that the freezing water made them forget everything they had been thinking about earlier. Meanwhile, the girls start getting along much better, which makes Kaito very happy. A few days later, the group returns to the dungeon. Lucilia complains playfully that they had fun studying and visiting the waterfall while she was not there. Ikari then announces that they are now heading to the 10th floor of the dungeon. Soon monsters appear, and Sylphie begins singing the song that boosts everyone's abilities again. The group quickly organizes themselves and defeats the monsters with a coordinated attack. Lucilia becomes annoyed because she did not get the chance to show off during the fight, so Kaito calms her down by giving her some crystals to eat. Kari watches them and thinks that Lucilia and Sylphie look adorable like little hamsters whenever they get angry and make cute expression. At that moment, Kari reflects on how happy she has been these days thanks to her new friends, and she hopes these moments will last forever. After walking a little farther, the group realizes that they are close to entering the 10th floor. Everyone becomes excited, and Kari, full of enthusiasm, decides that she will go first. But suddenly she begins coughing again. This time she even coughs up a little blood and collapses directly onto the ground. Miko immediately runs to help her in panic, while Kaito stands there in shock, not understanding what is happening to her. Next, the story moves 2 years into the past, where we see Miku participating in a card competition. She was so skilled that she became the champion, but the opponents refused to accept their defeat because they believed she had cheated with her deck. At that moment, Ikari appeared and challenged her to a card duel. Returning to the present, we see Ikari lying on a hospital bed while the others are with her. Since the doctor had told them to leave, Kaito tries to convince Miku to go. However, she says she will stay a little longer to keep Ikari company. Miku then confesses that Ikari has an illness that cannot be cured with simple potions. At that moment, the girl's parents enter the room and thank her friends for staying with her and taking care of her. Her father says that Ikari always speaks kindly about them. Hearing those words makes Miku feel emotional, and she suddenly runs out of the room. Kaito and Ari follow her and find her on the rooftop of the building. Miku tells them that, just like her parents said, Ikari always smiled no matter the circumstances. We are then shown the memory of the day they first dueled with cards. Miku noticed that their decks were very similar, and in the end, she won the match. Even so, she offered to help Ikari build a deck better suited to her abilities. Ikari, accepting her loss with grace, thanked her for the offer. From that moment on, the two girls became best friends. Later, they even entered a tournament together, and both reached the final match, where they faced each other again. Miku won the tournament, but she shared the trophy with her friend. However, at that very moment, Ikari suddenly collapsed because of her illness. Miku stayed with her at the hospital, where Ikari apologized for not telling her earlier about her condition. She was about to tell her something important, but she lost consciousness and was taken into the ICU. Back in the present, Kaito asks what kind of illness she has, but Miku refuses to say anything. At that moment, Ikari's father arrives and says that he will explain it himself. He tells them that Ikari suffers from a disease that slowly destroys her organs, and even with modern medicine, there is no cure. The group becomes very sad when he explains that if she collapses one more time, she might die. The others say that it did not seem like she was that sick, because whenever they were in the dungeon, she looked full of energy. Hearing this surprises her father, since Ikari had told him that she only spent weekends studying with her friends. Miku apologizes, but the man tells her it is fine. He says that his daughter made her own decision and that she was happy living that way. Even after hearing all this, Kaito cannot understand why someone so sick would want to clear the entire dungeon. Another memory is then revealed. In the past, Miku was searching online for a cure for Ikari's illness and discovered a legendary medicine known as the elixir, which might have the power to cure it. While she was researching, Ikari arrived and told her that she already knew what she was looking for. She then said that she wanted to go to the dungeon with her. At first, Miku strongly refused, because she knew that Ikari's illness could become worse inside the dungeon. Later, the two of them went outside to talk, and Ikari explained that if they found the elixir, it might help create a cure not only for her, but also for other sick people. Those words moved Miku, and she finally accepted her friend's request to search for the elixir together. The two of them promised each other that they would find that medicine no matter what. Before the memory ends, Ikari excitedly declares that if they succeed in finding the cure, she will become a hero who saves people suffering from illness. Back in the present, Miku tells the others that even though Ikari had always been sick, she constantly cared about other people. After hearing the whole story, Ikari's father is touched and says he is happy that his daughter has friends like them. Miku apologizes to Kaito and Ari for not telling them the truth earlier. Ari responds that from now on she will help them search for the elixir. And even though Miku says she is not sure if it truly exists, Ari says she believes in them. Kaito also says that he had always heard the legend about the elixir. After hearing the whole story, he becomes very motivated and tells them that he will help them find the cure. Because of that, they decide that starting the next day they will descend deeper into the dungeon to search for it. The next day, we see the group in a desert-like floor of the dungeon. There are several camel-like monsters there, and they immediately begin defeating them. However, Belia gives them the bad news that none of the monsters dropped the elixir. They realize that the task will not be as easy as they thought, since they will have to defeat many monsters before one finally drops it. The place is extremely hot, almost like a real desert, except that there is no sun heating the area. Eri comments that dungeons are mysterious places where nobody truly knows what happens inside them. While they are talking, Sylphie suddenly warns Kaito to be careful. A sandworm bursts out from under him and traps him. Miko immediately uses a skill that frees him, and everyone prepares to defeat the monster. Lucilia wants to kill the creature, but Belia moves first and defeats the sandworm with a single strike. This starts an argument between the two because Lucilia cannot believe he took her chance. To calm her down, Kaito promises that the next monster will be hers. He also thanks everyone for helping him. A few hours later, the group returns to the hospital to see Ikari, who has already awakened. They tell her what happened to Kaito, and she finds it very funny. She also says that she cannot wait to leave the hospital so she can join them again in their dungeon adventures. With a cheerful smile, she says that the first thing she will do after leaving the hospital is eat some ice cream. After they leave, Miko begins crying uncontrollably because she cannot understand how Ikari can keep smiling even while being so sick. A little later, Ari arrives to pick up her friend and tells Kaito that Ikari has always wanted to become a hero. Because of that, they must do everything they can to find the cure for her illness. Later that day, Aruka calls Kaito and asks how his friend is doing. Kaito tells her the truth and remembers something she once said. We then see a memory from their childhood, where Aruka's father explained that someone has to explore the dungeon so that others can obtain cures. Back in the present, Kaito tells Aruka that he has to go because he has a mission to complete. Soon after, he suddenly heads to the dungeon with his servants. While exploring, they fall into a sand trap and immediately fight one of the monsters that appears there. Later that night, Aruka is looking out of her window when she sees Kaito walking outside looking very depressed. He returns home and takes a shower. His mother, worried, asks why he has been coming home so late, but Kaito lies and says it is because of work. The next day, Kaito even arrives late to school, which makes Aruka worry about him even more. After classes end, his friends ask if he is tired. He then says goodbye because he plans to go to the dungeon again to continue searching for the elixir. Meanwhile, his friends decide to do something nice and go to the hospital to play cards with Ikari so she will not feel bored. After she defeats both of them in the card game, Yato, acting a bit proud, says that he is very good at another video game and will bring it the next day. But Ikari calmly replies that she is ranked S50, which completely shocks him. After chatting for a while, Ikari says that it is a shame Kaito has not visited her in several days. She has no idea that he has been exhausting himself trying to find the elixir for her. His friends defend him, saying that he simply does not like crowded places like hospitals. At that moment, Ikari takes out a history book. When they see a picture of a man in it, they ask if he is related to Kaito. The boys explain that the famous hero in the book is Kaito's father, who mysteriously disappeared after reporting that he had reached the 41st floor of the dungeon. Hearing this, Ikari wonders if perhaps Kaito is angry with her, but the others reassure her that this is not the case. Because of this, Ikari tells them that once she leaves the hospital, she will search for Kaito's father so that Kaito will never be sad again. In another scene, we see Kaito's group standing in front of a powerful boss monster. Sylphie immediately uses her blessing, strengthening everyone so they can begin attacking the creature. The monster tries to attack Sylphie, but the group quickly responds with a series of combined abilities. In the end, Kaito finishes it off with his dagger, and at that moment everyone levels up. Unfortunately, they do not obtain the elixir, but they do receive the boss's crystal. After giving crystals to the girls to eat, they immediately go to Itsugaya to sell the crystal. She notices that they have been working extremely hard lately and have collected many crystals, so she pays them almost 5 million yen. Kaito asks her to divide the money into 4 parts, because even though Ikari is not there with them, she is still part of the group. Later, after leaving the place, Ari and Miku say they will try going to the dungeon even during weekdays. They also ask Kaito if he is alright because he looks very tired. Kaito tells them everything is fine and says goodbye to the girls. Later that night, while watching a television program about dungeons, Kaito hears that the deeper someone goes, the rarer the items they can find. He realizes that this means the deeper floors might have a chance of containing the elixir. The next day, Kaito falls asleep in class because he stayed awake all night. After school ends, he rushes away, but his friends stop him and tell him that he should rest because he looks terrible. Even Aruka sincerely asks him to take a break, but he refuses. Aruka understands because she knows he is doing all of this to save his friend. After some time, Kaito arrives at the dungeon and stands on the stairs leading down to the 12th floor. However, because he is so exhausted, he collapses right in front of the girls. Sylphie becomes worried because he looks extremely tired. His servants agree that they should rest for the day, but Kaito stubbornly insists that he only wants to see what is inside the 12th floor. After descending, they realize that the entire floor is completely frozen. Kaito regrets not bringing proper equipment. After walking for a while, they notice that there are no monsters around, but Kaito feels that something is wrong. At that moment, Sylphie detects something ahead. Suddenly, a swarm of bats flies out, followed by a stampede of monsters. Sylphie quickly creates a barrier, while Kaito carries her as they run at full speed. However, there are too many monsters, and they have no choice but to fight. After defeating many will boars, one of them strikes Kaito. He falls to the ground and the monsters begin attacking him, causing his HP to drop rapidly. Belia rushes in to rescue him, and the girls tell him to carry Kaito away while they handle the enemies, because both of them have just leveled up and learned a new ability. Right after that, the girls activate their divine skills, striking all the monsters and defeating them instantly. Belia then tries to heal Kaito, but he does not wake up. She tells the others that his condition is very serious. Lucilia, becoming desperate, starts slapping him to wake him up, but it does not work. As a last option, Sylphie tries to give him a potion. When he cannot drink it himself, she takes a sip and passes it to him through a kiss. This makes Lucilia do the same thing, and both girls begin kissing him while passing the potion through their mouths, until Kaito finally reacts. The boy thanks them for saving him, but immediately loses consciousness again. After a long time, we see Kaito speaking with the doctor when Miku and Ari arrive. Itsugaya mentions that it seems a monster stampede had struck him. The doctor explains that thanks to the potion his servants gave him, his wounds were not serious, but he strongly recommends that he rest because he was in very bad condition. After leaving the hospital, the girls offer to walk him home, but Kaito behaves strangely and refuses their help. He runs away and blames himself for not being able to help Ikari. A few hours later, we see Kaito burning several magazines that talk about his father's disappearance. In part, he had been doing all of this out of emotion because he does not want Ikari to die like his father did. Later, Kaito goes to see Aruka and apologizes for his behavior. When the monster stampede attacked him, he felt intense fear and realized that he did not want to die. At that moment, he understood that Ikari is fighting to live, and that she must also be worried about seeing him suffer like this. He also tells Aruka that when her father disappeared, he saw how she cried because of the cruel comments people made about him. It is then revealed that when Yato told Ikari that the man in the history book was Kaito's father, what he meant was that Kaito had always seen that man as a father figure, because he spent most of his childhood close to Aruka and her family. Kaito tells her that he has decided to accomplish things that even that man could not finish, so that he can prove that the man truly was a hero, just as many people believed. In the end, he says that he will do all of this for her. Aruka smiles and gently corrects him. She says that maybe in the beginning he was doing it for her, but now his real goal is Ikari, because he wants to help her keep living. She then tells him that a long time ago her father explained the meaning of being a hero. A hero is someone who protects and serves others, someone who is willing to suffer and do anything to help people. Now that she is older, she understands those words better, and she tells Kaito that he is already a hero for her and for Ikari. Her words leave him completely surprised. Aruka also admits that she is very afraid of him going into the dungeon, but she knows that if she tried to stop him, she would regret it later. Kaito, feeling conflicted, thinks that he does not know how deep he will have to go in the dungeon, and he is not even sure if the elixir really exists. But Aruka's words give him the motivation he needs, and he finally understands what he must do. He takes her hand and thanks her for helping him clear his mind. Soon after, we see Kaito meeting with the entire dungeon team on the first floor. He tells them that they must defeat many slimes because he has a feeling that the elixir might be connected to the beginning of the dungeon. Even though it is only the first floor, he once obtained something rare there, which makes him think that unusual items might appear in that place. The girls share words of encouragement, and everyone ends up agreeing with Kaito's idea. They split up and begin defeating every slime they encounter. We also see Shinji and Yato joining Kaito to help him defeat the slimes. Kaito welcomes them and thanks them for their support, and they spend several hours defeating large numbers of slimes. Later, the group regathers. Eri thinks that they probably will not find any rare items there, but Yato jokingly says that maybe Santa Claus will bring them an elixir as a Christmas present. Lucilia, not knowing who Santa is, asks if he is a friend of Satan, and Sylphie quickly tells her that he is not. Suddenly, Sylphie senses something strange. When the group goes to investigate, they encounter a rainbow slime. The team quickly surrounds it to prevent it from escaping, but after several attacks they realize that the slime is extremely slippery and hard to catch. After cornering it, they finally attack together and defeat it. In the next scene, we see that the group has secretly taken Ikari out of the hospital because they want to show her a surprise in the dungeon. Kaito immediately shows her a card they found belonging to a girl named Titania, the Queen of the Fairies. Lucilia explains that Titania is a healer who might be able to cure her illness. Ikari thanks them for everything they have done for her and accepts the card. As the summoning ritual begins, a bright light appears, and Titania materializes in front of Ikari. Kaito explains that their friend is sick and asks if she can heal her. Titania examines Ikari but sadly says that because she is currently level 1, she cannot completely cure her condition. Even so, they ask her to heal as much as she can with her current power. Titania casts her healing spell, and after the magic takes effect, Ikari begins to feel much better. Seeing this makes Miku emotional, and she thanks everyone for being heroes for her friend. She also thanks Titania for becoming her servant and says that from now on, they will share many adventures together. Later we see Kaito and Aruka returning home. Titania had explained that the healing effect will last 1 year, which means they have that much time to either find the elixir or raise Titania's level so she can learn a special ability called Hrassle. This ability can heal any type of abnormality, both physical and psychological. In other words, they have 1 year to either obtain the elixir or help Titania reach the level required to learn that skill. Aruka realizes that this means Kaito will likely return to the dungeon again, so she tells him to be careful because she wants him to come back safely. At that moment, snow begins to fall, signaling the arrival of Christmas. Just as Kaito is about to confess his feelings to Aruka, her mother suddenly appears and tells them to come inside before they catch a cold, unintentionally ruining the romantic moment. A few months later, the two of them are seen at the top of a mountain near a temple. Kaito tells her that his wish is to return safely from the dungeon and find the elixir. Aruka replies that he should have wished for something more normal, like getting into a good university. After several days, the group returns to the dungeon once again, determined to go deeper in search of the elixir to cure Ikari's illness. Finally, after descending many floors, they reach a mysterious chamber where a godlike dragon awaits. Without hesitation, Kaito charges forward to fight it.